President Buhari approved Seplat Energy's acquisition of ExxonMobil shares. This cost generates 761 billion naira revenue in 2021 as metered customers reach 4.8 million. Securities and Exchange Commission warns against investing with unregistered crowdfunding platforms. And on Commodity Watch, oil prices pulled back slightly on Tuesday. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Now let's begin with oil and gas. In his capacity as Minister of Petroleum Resources and in consonance with the country's drive for foreign direct investment in the energy sector, President Muhammadu Buhari has consented to the acquisition of ExxonMobil shares in the United States of America by Seplat Energy Offshore Limited. ExxonMobil has entered into a landmark sale and purchase agreement with Seplat Energy to acquire the entire share capital of Mobil Producing Nigeria Unlimited from ExxonMobil Corporation, Mobil Development Nigeria Incorporated, and Mobil Exploration Nigeria Incorporated, both registered in Delaware, USA. Considering the extensive benefits of the transaction to the Nigerian energy sector and the larger economy, President Buhari has given ministerial consent to the deal. ExxonMobil and Seplat are expected to carry out operatorship of all the oil mining licenses in the related shallow water assets towards production optimization to support Nigeria's OPEC quota in the short term, as well as ensure accelerated development and monetization of the gas resources. President Muhammadu Buhari also directed that all environmental and abandonment liabilities be adequately mitigated by ExxonMobil and Seplat. The Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) has again warned investors on the activities of unregistered investments crowdfunding platforms. Crowdfunding is the process of raising funds to finance a project or business from the public through online platform. Crowdfunding portal is a website, portal, intermediary portal, application, or other similar model that facilitates interaction between fundraisers and the investing public. The SEC in a circular stated that it has observed with concern the fraudulent activities of some unregistered investment crowdfunding platforms and strongly advised the investing public against making investments with or through any crowdfunding platform not registered with the Commission. Now let's turn our attention to currency. The Naira opened at 650 Naira per dollar at the parallel market, otherwise known as the black market, on Monday in Nigeria. Let's see the Naira's official exchange rate. Okay, it's been 1 week now since the federal government announced a ban on the importation of SIM cards into the country. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy Issa Pantami said the aim is to increase indigenous content in the ICT sector so that by 2025 the nation will be self-reliant by at least 80%. It is on this premise that we kickstart our discussion on telecommunication and local content today on the program. Our guest is Dr. Bayero Agabi, Executive Director, Center for Cyber Awareness and Development and Vice President, Nigerian Internet Group. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, the government says that banning importation of, government banning importation of SIM cards. Do you think it's long overdue?
I think so too. Because Nigerians have demonstrated since 2015, Nigerians have demonstrated that capacity to localize the production of SIM cards, and a lot of companies that have been licensed, some in Lagos, that are already doing, that business. So, for me, never too late. What the minister has done, is a thumbs up for the minister, because is to re-emphasize, the need to do that, and the benefits that we accrued from that will be, quite enormous as we get along.
But can you take us through the benefits, if we are to look at the benefits?
Yeah, one of the major benefits, we are almost in a state where you can say you can't determine what the Naira exchange really is now. So you are going to have in the capital flight, that it will reduce it, if not halt it. Okay, and domestication of skills on how this is done will be widespread, and because of that, those people the manufacturers will make more money, and then they will employ more people. So that is employment generation. And then when you have your SIM card domesticated and you do all of that here, so the cost of making your calls and the cost of staying online, all of these will come together in such a manner that it will be possible or easier for people who really want to stay online to do businesses or innovate to stay online. So it reduces cost of businesses in a way, and it helps the foreign exchange, and then again it helps our skills, knowledge and development.
Okay, but do we have the capacity? That's another thing that we should.
We are in a global sphere. Today, that if you want to have any education, you can have it from this studio. Any kind of education, any kind of skill, you can have it from this studio. So I can say, yes, the skills are there. And quite a lot of Nigerians, whether here or abroad, have those skills. So all we need to do is to form an ecosystem, in such a way that where there's a deficiency in a particular skill that you don't have, you can reach out to those people to have such skills. So you don't really need. There is a paradigm shift since the 2020, COVID-19, and so we're not going back. We're moving forward. So the kind of innovation that comes up on a daily basis, is that lightning speed. And so you see a lot of young people, and those who are young-minded, are also taking advantage of that in terms of education, in terms of knowledge, in terms of skills. They seek it and they go for it. So you can say those skills are available locally, and they're also offshore, even though we can access those skills.
Okay, how do you see Nigeria's telecom sector, and how long do you think it will take us to actually be self-reliant? Because if you look at this particular measure, it's not just the foreign exchange thing, but it's also towards developing local capacity so that we don't have to import most of these things. So how do you look at the telecommunications sector, and how long do you think we can be self-reliant?
You see, for me, to this question, I always say the future is now.
Yeah.
So you can no longer say how long, the future is now.
But do we have the capacity to actually do that? Because capacity development is
Yes.
also comes from another capacity.
I think it's just a mindset to think that we do not have the capacity to do that.
So
What we do not
how
have
do
is
we embrace the mindset?
it takes some political, will, or design to ensure that we have a policy that will say this is how it is done, and you must not go beyond this way. Okay. So when we have such a policy in place, it will harmonize all the capacities as we have them. Even those that, as I said, even those that we do not have locally, they are offshore. We can access those knowledge. We can access those capacities. Okay, so you say, how do I see the Nigeria telecoms industry? It's a fledgling industry, and it has taken a new turn from just making a phone call to now data as the oil. When we say data as the oil, I'm not looking at the money, but I'm looking at the offshoot, the spin-offs from using data or having data available everywhere, because it will stimulate economic growth. It will stimulate the knowledge base that we are talking about. It will also ensure that education is properly put in a place that can actually uplift our people, in a way within the global realm. So when you have good cable system that reaches the end user, and you have a good, affordable internet base that reaches the end user, that can make the end user stay online and not just logging in and log out when you need it because you don't have the financial capacity to stay, but you can stay online. It becomes like what I call, your right to stay online. So it will stimulate economic growth. It's not just the telecoms industry alone. So when you talk about telecoms, we're just looking at the pipes, but the energy that passes the pipe, that is the knowledge, the creativity, the innovation, those are the spin-offs that we enjoy. The OTTs, the over-the-top, technologies, like some of these apps that we enjoy today for fintech, for health, for agriculture, for weather, So those are the things that will come, and they are coming up. A lot of people are doing quite a lot of things, but most of them are in silos because there's no policy that is bringing all of them together. But I know that NIDA is working in that direction now to ensure that we have an ecosystem for startups. And if you have such an idea, you can either approach NIDA or approach the NCC. And I know the government cannot do it all alone.
Okay, let's talk about tariff a little. We've seen the communication sector bringing in so much or contributing so much to the non-oil sector.
Yeah.
And when you look at Nigeria's ICT, is Nigeria's Africa's largest ICT.
Yes.
Yeah, accounting for 82% of the continent's telecom subscriber and 29% of internet usage. Should we be paying so much for tariff and data?
It's a private business.
Of course it is.
Yeah, so if the business environment is like what the market woman will tell you, is how I buy it, I sell. Everybody wants to make profit on it. So, yes, we shouldn't be paying so much. Some countries, like Sweden, it's your fundamental right to have access to the internet. Okay, so we shouldn't be paying as much as that. But I know that some of the policies we are putting in place now, if they work out, we are going to have internet that is affordable and accessible.
But is this tied to somehow cost of doing business in Nigeria? Is it?
Okay, let me tell you, but it's almost a cliche to explain it in this way. Most of the cables for internet that comes from Europe and all of that are docked in Lagos. So to take the cable from Lagos to Abuja or to Maiduguri, you have to dig the ground. And those ground that you're going to dig will pass through a local government, state, and before you get to where you're going. And in all of those, you are expected to pay something. Okay? And the base stations and all of that you use to transmit and all of that, you will procure your own security and you procure your own power. So and in all of these things, the end user suffers
the
for
cost.
this. Because if you do not push it to the end user, then you run out of business.
Let me just take a quick one.
Yeah.
I just want to have your thoughts because the federal government is also actually planning to implement more taxes on telecom from next year. Then, in addition to that, we've seen ban on import of SIM cards. Which other part of telecom would you like to see indigenized?
You see, I'm vehemently against additional taxes on telecommunications.
Just like what the minister said.
Yes, I'm vehemently against that because it's going to stunt growth. It's going to lead to stunt, knowledge innovation, crap innovation. So the speed at which innovation takes place and creativity within the ecosystem, is going to be pretty, hard for those who are in that space, and it's going to lead to a lot of young people leaving the shores of this country. Some may have to go to Ghana to create certain things and then bring them to Nigeria to sell to Nigeria or to do businesses in Nigeria. And that will not be good for the country. And then again, the second leg to it is that it's like you're taxing the root of a tree and not waiting for the tree to come up, have fruits, and then you tax the fruit. Nurture the tree. Ensure that it grows. When it brings up fruits, you can tax the fruit. Okay. We are still at the basis in such a level that we are just growing those trees. Okay. Let them grow.
Dr. Bayero Agabi, I'm afraid we don't have much. I think there's the much we can take. Yeah. But we actually sincerely appreciate you coming to share your thought with us.
Thank you very much. I really do appreciate this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Agabi, Executive Director, Center for Cyber Awareness and Development, and also Vice President, Nigerian Internet Group.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now moving on, let's take our Surviving COVID-19 segment, sponsored by Central Bank of Nigeria.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central
Bank. No, that's where we applied, but nothing happened. I got a loan. In fact, just like NTA said, training of a woman is not a nation. I will invest it in at least in raising women. It's my passion, women and youth. Because what I'm actually looking for is a ground, a place where you see. Sometimes I see some women. In fact, sometimes I've gone to Mabuchi. I was sourcing for women. I said I need about 50 women in Mabuchi that I'll come and train free of charge. So I've gotten some people there, and they told me I should go and see their chief, which as I came back from this August or the meeting, I said, okay, if I get that myself back and I have some money, I'll still go there so that I can train them.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Well, now let's look at energy. Oil prices pulled back slightly on Tuesday on the latest progress in last-ditch talks to revive the 2015 Iran nuclear accord, which will clear the way to boost its crude exports in a tight market. Brent crude futures fell 14 cents or 0.1% to $96.51 a barrel, pairing a 1.8% gain from the previous session. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures declined 16 cents or 0.2% to $90.60 a barrel after climbing 2% in the previous session. We now move to global commodities market to see prices of other commodities. Well, while figures from the stock market in the country are being awaited for this Tuesday, the bears had a grip of the stock market in Nigeria this Monday as trading ended on a negative note. The all-share index depreciated by 0.46% to 50,489.73 basis point. Market capitalization dropped to 27.2 trillion naira. 207.19 million naira were traded on the floor of the exchange in 4,234 deals valued at 2.1 billion naira. FBN Holding, Multiverse and Access Holdings were among the top traders in terms of volume. Investors across the globe are held back by persistent global cost pressures, with investors turning their focus this week to U.S. inflation data and the prospects for further aggressive Federal Reserve rate hikes. Here's Global Stock Market Update.
Stocks struggled to make headway in Asia this Tuesday, a pattern reflecting concerns about the outlook for economic growth as central banks hike interest rates to curb runaway inflation. The Nikkei 225 in Japan dropped 0.88%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index declined 0.14%, and the Shanghai Composite gained 0.26%. U.S. stock futures rose slightly early Tuesday morning after Wall Street weighed the outlook for cheap stocks and looked ahead to more earnings report and inflation data that will determine the pace of future interest rate hikes. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added 0.09%, S&P 500 gained 0.09%, and Nasdaq 100 climbed 0.04%. European markets are lower with stocks in Germany off the most. The DAX is down 0.26%, while FTSE CAC 40 is off 0.18%, and London's FTSE 100 is lower by 0.05%. African markets have just opened, but are yet to post figures this morning.
Well, that's it. Thank you, Ineka. Join us again on Wednesday at 3 p.m. for another episode. I am Musa Abubakar.